Case number 240-585-7501. The people of the state of Michigan versus the defendant, Brandon Butler. The defendant is being charged with count 1, homicide, murder first degree, premeditated, juvenile defendant, and count 2, weapon, felony firearm. That's for examination today.
Good morning, may it please this honorable court, APA Jonathan Hitz, appearing on behalf of the people, P85288.
May it please court, Your Honor, Tyrone Baker, P number 62647, appearing on behalf of Mr. Brandon Butler, who's present to my left, Your Honor. Good.
State your name for the record.
My name is Brandon Butler.
Any preliminary matters?
Yes, Judge, I request an order of mutual sequestration with an exception for the officer in charge who's staying to my right flank.
Okay.
Is anyone in the courtroom that may testify today at a future proceeding as to step in the hallway? There will be an exception made for the officer in charge.
Thank you, Judge. At this time, I'd also move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 1. It's a copy of a report from the Office of Wayne County Medical Examiner, admissible under MCL 766.11B, subparagraph 1D.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor, for exam purposes.
Will be admitted for exam purposes only.
May I publish, Judge?
Yes.
Yeah, you got a seat right.
Yes.
People's Exhibit 1 is a report regarding ME case number 24-08758, certified that Catherine Perez, medical doctor, performed a postmortem examination on the body of Tavita Hunter at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's office on 7/14/2024. Dr. Perez indicates that it's her opinion that death was caused by a gunshot wound in the back. Her investigation, the decedent was a 23-year-old female who was found shot. Post-mortem examination demonstrated a close-range, penetrating entrance gunshot wound on the left upper back. There was gunpowder stippling extending from the 3 o'clock position on the skin surrounding this wound. The wound tracks proceeded from this injury through the left back soft tissue and musculature, thoracic vertebrae, left posterior rib 8, left diaphragm, left intercostal spaces 2, 4, and 7, left abdominal soft tissue and musculature, left lower lung lobe, left upper lung lobe, aorta, pericardial sac, left pulmonary vein, left atrium, right ocular, right upper lung lobe, right intercostal space 2, and right chest soft tissue and musculature. The wound tracks were from back to front, left to right, and slightly forward when the body is viewed in the standard anatomical position. Jacketed base and multiple jacketed petals were recovered from the torso and retained. There are some additional injuries that are noted in the head and neck, torso and pelvis, and extremities. I'll reserve publication on those. The manner of death is deemed homicide. I also believe we have a stipulation that Tavita Hunter is the individual that was shot and killed on 7/13/2024 at the intersection of Cardinal and Bond.
Is that a correct stipulation?
That is correct for exam purposes, Your Honor.
Okay. Stipulated.
And with that, Judge, if people are prepared to call our first witness, the court's ready.
And this prosecutor, approximately how many witnesses do you plan to call?
With that stipulation, I'd like to call one witness, Judge. The witness, Clark Washington Jr.
Do you swear to the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you, Judge. Could you please say your name for the record?
Clark Washington Jr.
Thank you. I want to take you to July 13th of this year. Do you remember that day?
Yes, I do.
Were you near the intersection of Cardoni and Robinwood Streets?
Yes, I was.
And is that in the city of Detroit?
Yes,
Is that Wayne County, Michigan?
yes.
What were you doing at that location on that?
I was visiting a friend on the corner of Cardoni and East Robinwood. His name is Sean.
And aside from Sean, was there anyone else that was with you?
Yes, me, Sean, and his two small children.
Approximately what ages were those children?
I would say between 5 and 10.
And when you were with Sean, where were you in particular?
I was on the corner house of Cardoni, which would have been the northwest corner house, sitting on the porch.
Okay. And is it a screened-in porch or is it porch?
It's an open porch.
Did you notice anything unusual at that time?
Yes, as I was sitting on the porch, I observed a black male approach the corner, in all black, looking very hot. It was hot that day, and he had on, I would say, unfit clothing for the day.
How hot would you have estimated it to be on that day?
That particular day, the temperature was in the 90s,
Was it humid or?
very hot and humid.
And did you notice where that individual came from?
I just observed him come up East Robinwood towards the corner of Cardoni and just stand there on the corner.
Could you describe the pants that he was wearing?
I would say they were black jeans, dark black jeans.
And what about the upper piece of his outfit? Could you describe that?
Yeah, I would describe that as a black hoodie and or jacket with a hoodie, but I'm assuming it was a hoodie.
And could you see if he had anything on underneath that jacket or hoodie?
I could not.
About how tall was he?
Just a little bit shorter than me, I would say around 6 feet to 6 inches. 6 feet.
And do you know approximately how much he weighed?
Heavier than me, so I would say roughly around 200 pounds, 210.
Did you get a good look at that individual's face?
I did.
And anything stand out about his face?
The pudginess of his face, the small afro, I would say like nappy fro, and the beard.
What about the beard stood out?
The beard, I would reference it as similar to the rapper Rick Ross beard, just a little bit shorter, but fully going all the way around from the hairline across the chin.
Was there a mustache?
If it was a mustache, it was lighter than the beard, but it was a small one.
And could you estimate the length of the beard?
I would say around 2 inches in length, the hairline.
Was it straight hair or curly hair? I don't know.
I would say it was like nappy.
And at that time that you saw him where he walked onto Robin, or from Robin, down Robinwood Street, excuse me, how close would you say you were to that individual at that time?
When he approached the corner of Cardoni and East Robinwood, me sitting on the porch, I would say that was a roughly maybe 20 to 30 feet or yards. I would say I'm comparing football, so about the football field, so I would say 10, 20 yards.
Okay, so about 20 yards.
Yes, sir.
And what time of day was it?
This was mid-afternoon, 3:30, between 3:30 and 4.
So it was daylight out at the time?
Daylight, yes.
Was it bright or overcast? Could you describe the conditions?
Sunny, no clouds.
And did you get a good look at that individual?
I did.
Had you ever seen that individual prior to that moment?
No, sir.
How long would you say you were looking at that individual for?
For the duration he was standing on the corner, I would say about 20 seconds.
And do you see that individual in court here today?
I do.
Where is he seated?
Seated at this table.
So to my left.
Yes, sir.
And what is he wearing?
Right now, he's wearing a black shirt, black t-shirt.
I'd ask the record reflect the identification of the defendant.
The record will reflect the identification.
Thank you, Judge. After you saw him in the street, what happened next?
As I was observing him and recognizing just how high he looked, for about that 22nd time, I noticed a white Durango come down Cardone Street, headed northbound like it was going towards 7 Mile. As it crossed East Robinwood, it came to a stop at the second house past Robinwood, between Robinwood and 7 Mile. So the second house past Robinwood came to a stop. I observed two black female.
Any other occupants of that vehicle?
No, sir.
And what happened after that vehicle pulled up?
Once the vehicle pulled up, I observed the passenger, black female, get out and approach the gentleman on the corner.
And that gentleman you're referring to is the defendant that you just identified?
Yes, sir.
And did you hear the defendant say anything to that woman?
I didn't hear words exactly, but they did have a casual conversation. I could see lip movement.
Could you describe the woman?
Black female, light skin and complexion, shoulder length hair. I recall her having on a pair of stretch pants and a white t-shirt.
Did you see a gun on that woman?
I did not.
Did you see a gun on the defendant at that time?
No, sir.
Did you see any type of weapon on the woman whatsoever? Pepper spray, brass knuckles, knife, anything?
No, sir.
Did you see any type of weapon on the defendant?
At that time, no, sir.
Was there any type of what appeared to you to be aggressive behavior between the individuals?
No, sir.
Did you hear any threats between the two individuals?
No,
Did either of them make any gestures like they were about to fight?
no.
And after they met up and had that conversation, what happened next?
From the hand gesture of the defendant, he pointed towards the rear of the corner home as if to direct her, let's walk back here. They proceeded to go towards the rear of the home. And they actually went out of my visual as they approached the rear of the home. And that turned my attention to the right, white Durango.
Okay, and when they last passed out of your vision, where were they headed?
So in the rear of the corner home, in the rear, there are two vans that's located back there, and they were headed toward those two vehicles, two vans.
Are you familiar with those vans?
I am.
And how are you familiar with them?
Those vans have been sitting in that backyard, for roughly about 2 years, and they do not move. No one drives them or move, so they just sit.
So your friend lives on the corner you mentioned earlier. How often would you say you visit your friend over there on Cardonia and Robinwood?
On an average, I would say about twice a week.
And in the last 2 years, you hadn't seen those vans move?
No, sir.
So after they passed out of your sight, you said your attention turned to the Durango. What happened?
Yeah. So I'm observing the female driver in the white Durango, a black female. She had on glasses, roughly same length of hair. She turned her vehicle off. She rolled her window down, and she reclined her driver's seat as if she was going into a resting position. It indicates to me she was going to be there for a while.
Okay, and after that happened, what happened next?
So observing her sit there, I would say it wasn't long, maybe 30, 40 seconds. I heard a scream for help.
And where was that scream coming from?
That was coming from the rear of the corner house where the defendant and the young lady had walked to the rear.
Okay, did you look in that direction?
Yeah, her scream made me look up and look down Robinwood for the direction the scream was coming from. And that's when I observed the young lady identified as the passenger running from behind the second van back towards Robinwood, towards the street. So she would have been running like a northwest direction towards me.
Did you hear her say anything at that time?
She yelled out the word help. Once she yelled help, there was a sound, there was a gunshot fired that I heard. She yelled ouch, and then stated help, help 2 more times before she fell.
And where did she fall?
She fell, I would say 10 feet from the van, which would have been between the sidewalk and the curb of East Robinwood, she fell right there in a little grassy area.
And how many gunshots did you hear?
One single shot.
Did you see who fired that shot?
I did.
Who was it?
That's the defendant.
And how far away from the defendant were you at the time you observed him there?
So when the young lady yelled help, I stood up and started to run off the porch. The distance from the stairs of the porch to, I would say, the rear of that home, my guesstimation, again, assuming like a football field, I would say from goal line to goal line, 100 yards. Could be a little less, but I would say 100 yards.
And did you actually see a gun in the defendant's hands?
When the shot was fired and I was running towards the victim, I could observe the defendant. He had taken maybe a step or two from behind the van. The shot was fired. I seen his hand going down and he turned and took off running.
From the moment you saw them walk back, I'm sorry, from the moment you saw those two individuals have that conversation on Cardoni and Robinwood streets to the moment of the defendant running away, did you ever see any other individual around those two people?
I did not.
And did you ever see any other individual in the area of those two vans?
I did not.
How much time would you estimate passed between the Durango arriving and that shot being fired?
Less than a minute.
Did you see anyone else with a firearm around that time?
Once the initial shot was fired and the young lady collapsed and I was running towards her, the occupant of the home on the northeast corner, black male, came out on his porch with his firearm because he heard the gunshot.
And was he outside at the time that you heard the gunshot?
He hadn't come out yet, but once the gunshot was fired, within seconds, he was coming out of his front door.
And at the time of the gunshot, where was the victim running in relation to that individual's house? Was she running towards the house, away from the house? How would you describe it?
I would say kind of towards his house, like I would say she was running in a northwest direction, so it's kind of diagonal. She's coming from behind the van, running, like turning to come straight up Robinwood. So she was in a turning motion, coming slowly. Yeah, she would have been facing his house.
And is her back towards the vans or not?
It's towards her back is her back is towards the van. So the defendant would have been facing her back.
Okay, after the victim collapsed, what happened next?
I immediately ran towards her to render any help I could. Because I heard the gunshot. I didn't know if she was hit. I knew she fell, but I didn't see any blood at that time or any holes. So I just ran up to her. When I got to her, she was gasping for air. By this time, I'm already dialing 911. I was dialing 911 as I'm running towards her. So I'm on the phone with the operator. I immediately started explaining that the shooting had occurred. We had a female victim, and I needed help with her name.
And did you hear the victim say anything to you?
After she yelled help, help, she was just gasping for air. There were no more words said.
Did you interact with the driver of that Durango at all?
I did, yes.
What happened with respect to that?
The interaction I had is she advised me that that the young lady who was shot was coming to visit a friend.
Objection as to hearsay.
I withdraw the question, Judge. I wasn't trying to elicit your say.
Objection sustained.
Did you say anything to the driver?
I did.
What did you say?
I asked her, why were they over here? I had never seen
So
them.
prior to that, you're saying?
Prior to me asking her.
Yes.
I did. Well, when the shot was fired and the young lady fell, I did yell to the driver, I think he shot your friend. That was pretty much what I could recall at that point of the shoot.
Okay, and after the shooting happened, did you attempt to describe the defendant to the Detroit Police Department?
I did,
Did you eventually sit down with a sketch artist?
I did.
And what was the process that you underwent with the sketch artist?
So when I started the first procedure with the sketch artist, you were identifying different facial features. So he would go the forehead first, eyebrows, eyes, nose, chin, mouth, ears, things of that nature. As I visualized each particular facial feature, I would identify a certain picture that I thought was similar to the suspect's feature. He would write that number down for whatever picture that was. So if it was picture number 16, you write 16 down. Then you go on to the next slides. He had a list of numbers written down that I had gave him, describing the whole facial features. And then he advised me he was going to put those together, compile a final sketch, have me look at it, and if we needed to make changes at that point, we would do so. But we didn't quite make it to that.
So what happened that prevented you from making it to that part?
So right after he had he had started to do his final draft of the full sketch. So he was in a separate room. As I was sitting in the waiting room, I received a text message from my girlfriend. She asked me to call her. And when I called her, she had advised me that she had a picture of the guy she believed had committed the crime. We and her had discussed it, of course. And then when I saw it, she told me how to identify it on Facebook where it goes to. And when I pulled it up, I recognized his face immediately.
So you went on Facebook
I did,
and you found a picture on Facebook,
I did.
and prior to seeing that picture, did you finish providing your description to the sketch artist?
I had completely finished giving my description to the sketch artist.
But was the sketch completed or not?
The sketch, the final draft had not been completed yet. He was in the process of putting it together.
And could you describe exactly what it looked like when you just found that first picture? Was it the individual by himself? Were there other people in the photograph? What was it?
The first picture I observed was a split picture of the victim and the defendant.
And was that a Facebook post?
That was a Facebook post.
Were there any words or description that's associated with that?
There were words, I can't say I remember verbatim, but if I recall, it was something in the range of, we need to get this guy off the street. They are raping women out here, beating them, killing them.
And permission to approach, Judge?
Yes.
So I just handed you what I previously marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 2. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What is it?
This is the picture of the suspect.
And when you say the picture of the suspect, you mean the picture that you saw on Facebook?
That is the picture I've seen on Facebook.
And is that a fair and accurate copy of that picture that you saw on Facebook?
That is, yes, sir.
This time I'd move to admit and publish People's Proposed Exhibit 2.
Yeah, the only issue is the witness testified that he saw a split picture with this individual and the victim. That's not what this picture is. I guess my concern on the best evidence is that I don't know if this is the same picture, is this a different picture? That's what I'm trying to figure out because the witness testified to what he saw.
Yeah, that's further question.
Thank you, Judge. So when you say you saw a split picture, would this be half of that split picture, or could you explain how this relates to the picture that you saw?
Yes, the photo of this gentleman here would have been the half picture next to the victim that I saw.
So it's not the exact post that you saw, but this would be a portion of the post. Is that
This would be a portion of it.
And it's
It
a
would be
fair.
admitted. People exhibit 2 will be admitted.
Thank you, Judge. And do you remember the identity of the Facebook account this came from?
I do not.
Was it somebody that you knew?
No, sir.
Was it anyone that appeared to be associated with the Detroit Police Department?
No, sir.
Was it anyone that appeared to be associated with any sort of police agency?
No, sir.
Did anyone with the Detroit Police Department or any law enforcement agency suggest that you go on Facebook and look for a picture of the suspect?
No, sir.
And after you, let me back up 1 second. On People's Exhibit 2 here, there's some writing on the right-hand side. Can you explain for me what that is?
That is my writing. And it's basically identifying this as the shooter, with my signature, the date, and the time.
Okay. And when you saw this picture, what was your reaction?
In a sense, it was a reaction of relief. I would say validation almost. I felt validated and confirmation is what I felt.
And was there any doubt in your mind that that was a suspect?
There was no doubt in my mind. I got emotional.
Did the Detroit Police Department eventually provide you with a group of photographs?
They did.
And what were you told regarding the procedure, like what you were supposed to do with those photographs?
I was supposed to take my time, take a good look at each picture, and then see somebody you recognize as a possible shooter in this case, please identify them at that moment.
And were you told that the shooter's photo was definitely in that group of photographs or might not?
I was told there is a chance, there's a chance you may see a person you recognize, there's a chance you may not. I was just told to be honest and accurate and don't shoot somebody that I don't recognize.
And were you told you had to make any sort of selection?
No, they said don't see anybody, don't make a selection.
Permission to approach, Judge?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I've just handed you what I previously marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 3. Have you had a chance to look over that document?
Yes,
And do you recognize it?
I do.
What is it?
This is the photo line record. I recall when the pictures, the 6 folders were placed in front of me after I went through and identified, while I was identified. She filled this out and had me sign.
And does this appear to be a fair and accurate copy of the photographs that you reviewed and the document you ultimately signed?
Yes.
At this time, I move to admit and publish People's Proposed Exhibit 3.
No objection.
Thank you. Could you just walk us through what of this writing is yours on the first page of People's Exhibit 3?
Yes, the top page.
Yeah, the very first page. It says photo lineup record at the top.
Yes. My handwriting would just be my signature now.
Okay.
Washington.
And it indicates that you positively recognized one of the subjects in these photos. That box is checked yes. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, yes.
And they indicated that it was photo number 3. Was that accurate?
Yes.
And they wrote down that, what did you primarily base this identification on? The hair and the beard. Is that an accurate description?
That is accurate.
And if you could turn to the second page of the document. So is this your handwriting on this document or is that somebody else's?
The questions and answers is somebody else's handwriting. My handwriting is the signature, the time, and the date.
So the handwriting reads, who is this person? I don't know his name. Is that an accurate response that you gave to that question?
Yes.
And then the second portion reads, what did you see him do? And answer, I saw him fire a single shot at the victim and take off running. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And the third point, how sure are you this is the person you saw fire the shot at the victim? Answer, 1000%. Is that an accurate recitation of your answer?
Yes, that is accurate. The question was asked from 0 to 100, and then I said 1,000.
And do you believe viewing that information on Facebook prior to viewing this photo lineup influenced your decision to pick out that particular photo?
Not at all.
I have no further questions, Judge.
Cross.
Sir, you viewed the Facebook photo on July 18th. Does that sound about right?
That is correct.
You did the lineup 12 days later, correct? On July 30th. Or at least if I were to say that's the date on the, is that the date that you have on the paper that you were just looking at?
Yeah, good job.
Okay. When you viewed the lineup, sir, how many people were present?
So then the detective who brought the folders in for the lineup, and there was another gentleman, I believe he was an attorney or something.
Okay, so just the other person, one officer and yourself.
That's correct.
Okay, and had the officer that was conducting the lineup, was that the same officer that you gave your like verbal or written statement to?
No,
And you said that, there were instructions given to you before the lineup about, that you might see someone that you might not, other various instructions. Is that fair?
that's correct.
Were any of those instructions, were you instructed to not focus on facial hair because facial hair could change?
I don't recall.
Do you recall whether you received any instructions as to hair itself, not facial hair, but hair itself, to not necessarily focus on that because hairstyles and length can change?
No, sir.
Is it fair when you were asked what did you primarily base this identification on? Is the answer that's listed, the hair and beard, facial, is that correct?
That is correct.
Where were you, sir, when you received the text from your girlfriend, indicating that? Well, let me back up. At some point, you received a text from your girlfriend. Is it with a text or a phone call?
It was a text indicating for me to call her. Okay, I got you.
Did you in fact call her?
I did.
Okay. And she in some way indicated to you that she believed that she had a picture of someone. What did she indicate?
Well, she indicated that the conversation was exactly like this. She advised that the uncle of the victim had reached out to me and her to find out if we knew anything.
Right.
At that point, the uncle had then told her that, hey, my niece got a picture of a guy with my niece on Facebook. Can y'all check that out and see if that matches what y'all described? And that's how we got that.
Okay. The uncle. Yeah. Did you happen to ever catch that person's name?
If I recall, first name Melvin, last name I can't.
Okay, fair enough. And so the uncle had reached out basically to your girlfriend in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Your girlfriend then reaches out to you, and then you call her, and then she sends you a picture, right?
Well, when I called her, she just directed me the name of the person who had posted, and I did a Facebook search of that name, got to her profile, and was able to view the picture.
Did you ever provide? Oh, let me back up. When this all occurred, where were you?
I'm sorry, when you say,
Like, where were you physically located when when you received the tags, when you called your girlfriend? Where were you?
I was in the waiting area of the sketch artist's office, so they had some chairs right in front of their office.
Okay. And so, as you described, you were with the sketch artist, you were providing information to the sketch artist about the person that you had saw, right? And they had, jotted down a bunch of the numbers that represented facial features that they were going to create the sketch from. Okay. And you said at some point that you didn't get to the final point because you received this text that made this phone.
That would have been correct. I had finished giving him each number of each facial picture, He had advised me to go just sit in the lobby while he get the rough, the final draft together. And so that's what I was waiting.
Other than the, the numbers that represented facial parts, you provided like just an initial description to the sketch artist, isn't that fair?
That's fair, yes.
And that person wrote all that stuff down, right?
He did.
Were you ever asked to review any of that, any of your description, any of the notes that this person had wrote down to see if it was accurate as to what you had said?
Yes, I did. Once he wrote the statement out, he asked me to take a look at it, make sure he had everything accurate. Yes.
And that was the sketch artist.
That was the sketch.
Okay. Did you ever review or get a chance to observe any final sketches?
I did not.
Have you seen any sketches since that date?
No, sir.
So you never got a chance to see what the person may or may not have created?
I never got to see what they did.
Now, you said that you received the name of a person that had posted this on Facebook. You went and searched that name, right?
That is correct.
Is it my understanding that you don't recall what that name was?
I do not recall what the young.
It was a young lady though
Yes,
that had made the original post.
yes,
You then searched on Facebook on your phone,
I did.
went to that page and saw a picture, correct?
Yes,
And then that's the pictures you've been describing and testifying about, the split picture, victim on one side and an individual on the other.
that is correct.
Were there any other people in that picture?
Not in that picture.
Okay. Now, bear with me, because Facebook is a little. Was this a post where there were two different pictures and they were kind of up next to each other? So you were able to click on one or the other, or was this picture actually one big picture?
I would say one big picture, a single frame.
The picture that you've observed today, we Exhibit 2, you're testifying that it is basically a crop or, separated out of that picture.
Exactly. And I would say a crop of that split picture is just a crop of it.
Okay, and the other part that we're not seeing here today would have been.
I'm sorry, the other part,
That we're not seeing here today would have been big. And, right,
That's correct.
other than that picture, were there any other pictures contained in the post?
Yes,
Okay. How many pictures, if you recall?
I recall at least 5 pictures.
And were there any other people represented in those pictures? Were there any people pictured?
So the first picture was a split of victim and defendant. Second picture was defendant only. Third picture was defendant only. Fourth picture was defendant with with 3 other gentlemen in the picture.
Okay.
And then the fourth picture was a light-skinned gentleman. I have no recollection.
And the post itself indicated that these people are out here doing bad things and we need to get them.
That is correct.
And this, I believe, just to make sure this is all happening on July 18th.
Yeah.
When the date that you signed it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And sir, who asked you to write in the margin?
That would have been the young lady who brought the folders in for the line, the detective.
And she asked you to write this down, right?
Yeah, she said if that's the person who didn't mind, just sign and take that.
This document that I'm holding itself, you've already testified that it's half a picture, etc. Is this how I'm holding it right now? Is this how you received the document? Like kind of, sheet paper, all white with the.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you also provided a description to the police on this evening, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall what that description was?
Yeah, pretty much what I'm always describing as.
And I understand, as you said, give or take, can you, as best you can, relate to me what you believe the descriptions of the police was that night?
Sure, if I can recall, a black male, roughly 5'11", 6 feet, if I recall, 190 to 200 pounds. I focused on the hair with that detective advising that it looked like he was trying to grow dreads, but the hair wasn't long enough to completely be locked up into dreadlocks, like a bunch of thorns, and that the afro, the beard, I referenced, that was the first time he referenced that, if you can think of the rapper Rick Ross, just a similar beard like that, just shorter. And then I recall focusing on his forehead, like he just said, like I said, his face was chubbier than mine, so it was more meat in between his eyeballs. You know, when he frowned up, he bulges out. So
Did you see the individual frown up that day?
yeah, he had a like he was squinching as if to try to block the sun. You ever seen somebody in the sunlight and you know, they might throw their hand up to block the sun. So he was doing that. It wasn't a mean look or mean look. It was just to kind of protect his eyes.
Okay. And you said that, at least as far as you could observe, there seemed to be no like altercation or no problem between the two individuals.
That's right. Casual conversation.
Did you see the two individuals get into the van?
I did not see him get in the van.
Were you able to see inside of the van prior, well, at any time in this case,
No, sir.
either before or after?
No, sir.
You described that after the gentleman directed at least in your opinion, that, kind of directed or pointed and then they went in that direction, that at some point that you lost sight of.
That is correct. Towards the river.
Can you estimate how far from the van you believe they would have been when you lost sight of them?
20 feet, 20 yards. I don't know, 10. I play football, so I think 10 yards, 20 yards.
I understand.
So I would say 20 yards.
Okay. All right. How long had you been sitting on that porch?
Prior to observing the defendant approach the corner, I had been on that porch for roughly about 5-10 minutes.
When you came out onto the porch, help me out. Let me think. If I'm on the porch, are the vans in the house to my right behind or to the left?
If you're on the porch,
Yes, if I'm standing on the porch facing the street.
facing the street,
Yes.
the home and the vans are directly in front of you.
Across the street.
Across the street.
Okay, so you're observing all this across the street. Okay, very good. And so when they go whatever direction they're going, what is it that causes you to lose view?
So as I'm sitting directly in front of the corner house, they're walking on the sidewalk on Robinwood towards the rear of that house. So the thing that would have stopped me from seeing them is as they got to the back of the house
itself.
covered.
So that they're walking on the sidewalk alongside of the actual street.
Yes, correct.
And that's right on that's the corner house.
Corner house.
And from where you're at, you cannot see either of these things, right?
If you're sitting on the porch, you cannot observe the vans from sitting on the porch because they'll be out of view.
Would it be fair for me to say that from whatever time that you came out of that, that you had not made any observations as to the back of the house with the van? You did not, you never were in a position whether you had walked around, went to the store, or any other thing. From the time when you came out onto the porch, it would be fair for me to say that you could not see whatever is going on behind that.
That is correct.
If there were a gentleman or two gentlemen, you would not know if they were standing behind that.
I would not know, not saying on the porch.
Was there ever any time where you were positioned in a way where you would have been able to see what I'm talking about?
The only time I would have been able to vision what you're describing is after the shot was fired out. You have to be literally in the middle of Robinwood or something off the corner to look.
And Robinwood is not the street that actually your porch is facing, right?
Look,
Your porch is facing.
side street,
Okay,
Cardoni.
hang on, one second.
That is correct. Robinwood is the side street. Cardoni is the residential street with the homes.
So as I'm on the porch, in front of me is Cardoni, and to my right runs Robinwood.
Yes, that would be, you're right.
Okay. You said that you observed this individual for approximately 20 seconds or so?
Yes, sir.
And then as they went to where they were going, they would have turned their back to you, is that fair?
That is correct.
The entire time that they're walking back that way, their back is to you, that's correct. After you saw the individual and the victim leave that corner, did you ever see the suspect's face again?
Not until he fired the shot. So once they left that corner and walked towards the back, they were out of my view all the way up until I heard her scream, try to run, shot fired, and I observed him dropping his gun.
When you ran, where exactly did you run to?
I was running directly towards her. So that was going, I came off the porch and was running straight up towards Robin.
So you come on, of course, you in essence go diagonally to your right.
To the right to get on Robin.
So you can porch, you would have to go.
Diagonally to your right,
That is correct.
and you eventually make it to her.
I did.
Are you to her when you see this motion with the gun down, or where exactly are you at when you see this?
So I'm probably, so I'm in the middle of Robinwood, literally at the stop sign. So that would probably be about maybe 5 yards, feet, or whatever, to the back of the house. And that's when I observed you taking off.
You didn't see a gunshot, is that fair?
I didn't see a gunshot.
Did you hear the shot?
I heard the shot.
And when you ran over there, were you concerned at all about being shot?
I told the detective that I didn't even think twice about it. It was just a natural reaction. Get up. When she yelled help before she even tried, I was already standing up and going down the stairs. Shot is fired, and I didn't think twice.
I'm not saying you correctly. You were already moving with the shot.
That is correct.
You said afterward that you hollered to the woman in Durango, hey, I think you shot your friend.
That's correct.
I assume she responded. I'm not concerned with her response, but I guess you then said that you tried to render aid and that you called 911.
Yes, sir.
To your knowledge, was the neck? Oh, you indicated that a neighbor came out almost immediately with his weapon.
That's correct.
Can you help me understand where? And I'm sorry, you already said, I just couldn't understand. Which house that is that this person came out of?
That would be the corner house on Cardoni on the north. I'm sorry, southeast corner. Southeast corner is where the gentleman stayed who came out on this porch.
Let me ask it this way. The house that you're at is how far?
That I'm sitting on the porch? Yes. That's the corner house.
That is the corner house. Okay.
So
You're in one corner house.
Yes.
The vans are across the street.
Cross the street. And then
Which of the two houses is on the other corner is the van? Is the one diagonal or is the one straight to your?
it's the one back.
Okay, corner straight across diagonally across the intersection.
That is correct.
He comes out, he's got his weapon out.
He's looking like what happened, what just happened.
Did you ever have a conversation with that person?
After the police arrived.
Did that person indicate that they had saw the suspect?
No, I didn't recall it. not to be.
Do you recall, did you ever have a conversation with, other individuals who eventually later arrived at the scene?
I mean, there were people out there who just had a general conversation. A lot of them kept asking me what I seen, but they saw me over the victim as they came up.
Right. Do you recall relaying to them what you had seen?
General information, not specific, to do shot her, he ran back there type of conversation.
Have you ever observed or been aware of any videos that recorded any of this time frame?
No, sir.
Are you aware of anyone else that has indicated that they saw anything related to this incident?
I'm not aware, so to speak, like I've spoken to anyone who else seen it, no. I would say, I know there were other people out there, I just don't know what they came for.
Okay. All right. When you say other people out there, you believe there were other people outside prior to the shooting?
That would be correct, and they would have been in the vicinity where the shooting occurred, they would have been more far down the ways down the block.
So. Where was Sean?
So Sean, when the young lady and the gentleman proceeded to head to the rear of their home before the shooting, Sean initially had stepped inside the home for a couple of seconds, maybe a couple of minutes even.
Okay.
He wasn't initially on the porch when the shot was fired, but once the shot was fired, of course, he came running out the house right behind.
As far as you know, you don't believe that Sean saw anything.
I don't think he saw.
Judge calls for speculation.
Well,
Objection sustained. You're afraid. Objection sustained.
did Sean tell you that he saw anything related to this incident?
Sean did not tell.
Other than the Facebook post that you already described, did you look at any other Facebook posts related to this case? Or social media at all?
Not related to this case, no.
I phrase it that way, because I assume you look at social media.
Yeah.
And you had never seen this individual before in your life, correct?
No.
And you never saw them after, at least what you're testimony to today, right?
That's correct.
Person never spoke to you, right?
No.
Oh, sir, you still have a copy of People's Exhibit 3? On the front page, right under your name, at the top, it says type of lineup. You see where it says 8 photo lineup and has a checkbox?
Yes.
And then on the left, it has 6 photo lineup with an unchecked box.
Yes.
How many photos did you observe it?
Keep generating, it might have been 8.
How many photos are in the exhibit?
Yeah. 6. I can't say if I recall it was 6 or 8.
I understand. That's good. after the line, were you ever told that you had, whether you got picked the right person?
No, no.
And, you haven't received any contact, nobody has approached you, well, sorry. After this, after the night of which, I know that you had some discussion with family members or whoever had arrived at the scene. I imagine, is it fair that you didn't know who all was who at the scene?
I did not know.
And you had never met any of these people before, is that fair? Did, I guess I assumed it. Let me ask you directly. Did you know any of these people that were, you know, seemed to be family or friends?
No.
After that day, after that night, the day or night, did you ever have any further contact with? Other than what you just described about the Facebook picture, did you ever have any other direct conversations with family members of the victim?
So the night they appeared at the scene, which I later found, I didn't even know my girlfriend had exchanged numbers with one of the family members. That's how they were able to contact us. But after that initial, just go to that Facebook page and find a picture. No communication.
Your girlfriend had made the scene, she came to the scene?
Yes, sir.
In the, the young lady who was shot, she never tried to indicate like you had shot her. I never.
Here we are, Judge.
Any of the witnesses on behalf of the people?
No, Judge.
Any witnesses on behalf of the defense?
No.
Argument.
Yes, Judge, Judge, wait for the witness next. So, Judge, people are asking for a bind over as charged here. I'll keep this very brief. I think there's only really two reasonable arguments that can be made, and then we'll talk about probable cause at this time. One, I'm sure Mr. Wicker is going to argue that the witness was tainted by this Facebook post. That might be an argument for a jury. That might be an argument. It's a question of fact. It's certainly a question of fact. Establishing probable cause that the defendant was the shooter. The only other argument that I can possibly see here is that there was no premeditation of preparation. Well, what we know here is that these were two individuals that were having a calm conversation. They walked back to this area. I think the evidence suggests they were about to engage in some sort of a transaction. This individual yells for help. She runs out, and then she gets gunned down, shot in the back, in cold blood. All of that points to this being cold-blooded, premeditated killing. The fact that she's running away at the time that she's shot, the fact that she shot in the back at the time, that to me indicates some premeditation and deliberation. And the fact that there's no evidence of any provocation or dispute between these two parties that would lead to some sort of hot blood on behalf of the defendant. Therefore, I'd ask for a lack of instruction.
Defense.
I think the evidence is fairly clear what it shows and what it didn't show. I'm sorry.
Or just keep.
I think the evidence was fairly clear as to what it shows and also what it does not show. And counsel is correct. I would argue that there is absolutely no showing of premeditation in this case. If we take everything at face value, and we assume that even if we assume that the individual that entered the van with the young lady is the same individual who shot her, etc., we don't know why. We have no indications as to what happened. What we also don't have is any evidence of any kind of plot, scheme, plan, etc. At the end of the day, two individuals seem to be okay. They get to a van, next thing you know, they're screaming, and then there's a shot fired. There is no evidence of first degree, or ask the court to find my client over on the second degree, which is what was testified to. Any other arguments to those other issues? I'll say for later.
No response, Judge.
All right, court have heard the arguments of counsel. testimony of the witness as well as the exhibits. Fifth is correct. There's some gaps in what's going on, but when there isn't a gap based on the testimony today, we have a witness that watched what occurred, heard a woman scream for help, left his porch and was on the way to render some sort of aid and assistance, and he watched the person gun her down in cold blood and run away. We have, don't know why, eventually the defendant shot a person in the back and killed her. But we have a witness today that watched it, picked him out of the lineup. Seems to, but I mean, it's not a lot of, I guess we can say there's some questions of fact, but there does seem to be a lot of questions right now at this stage. So I guess the only thing is determination whether this happened in some sort of premeditation. Court at this time will adopt the prosecution's argument that there seems to have to be some sort of a reason that was thought out. There does not seem to be an argument. There's from the testimony, they weren't arguing about walking to the side. There was no beef. I'm looking at a transaction, so I'm not taking that into account. But something happened where, and with the defendant, allegedly he would have some time to think. He has obviously has weapon with him, and he decided to stop his actions. Whenever if there was premeditation, shot a person in the back, cold blood, and there was a neighbor that was running into it when it happened. So with all that being said, this seems to be the definition of a senseless tragedy. This seems to, and obviously this is a trial. This is going to be an exam trial, and there seems there'll be some things that might get fleshed out a little deeper as to what was going on with this young man. But what we have here is just cold-blooded murder for no reason, and kind of a cowardly act to shoot a woman in the back. I'm unfamiliar with the circumstance that caused a woman walking away, get shot in the back, and killed. But that will all get flushed out across the street at the framework of public justice. So with that being said, court finds the felony offense charges committed in the city of Detroit was probable cause that the defendant committed the offense. Defendant be fined over as charged. The rank on the information will be amended.
It would be a week, Judge, but I know Frank, the circuit court's not gonna be in session next week, since you would Frank Murphy to.
We have a rank on the information date.
Okay, yes, we do. The regular information date is going to be 8/29. August 29.
Yes, Judge, I don't suppose you know the procedure with that, because I do believe the court is not in session. Okay. We can work it out with circuit court.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ron over for your time. All line conditions continue.
Should have watched y'all. Hold on. You gotta go skim something. Hold on, watch. I'm being good, man. Oh, it was.
Okay, we're go ahead and do the paperwork. I had to go up that hill and sign it, so I'm gonna do it and then be right back.
trying it looks like.
And we just got that one at 1:30 after this. All right. Let's see. All space.
Yeah.
All the table.